As we start working on this tutorial, these are the shades of yarn that I'm going to be using. If you prefer to use one shade of yarn, it's fine by me. My yarn is 100% acrylic, and I am going to be doubling the strands because it's a lightweight yarn. I will be making my band in a solid color, which is going to be this shade of yarn. And then for the body, I will be doubling the strand of this yarn plus this other one. For the band, I will use a 4mm hook. For the body, I will be using a 4.5mm hook. If you are using a medium weight yarn, I can recommend 3.5mm or 4.5mm hook as an alternative. But if you're using any other kind of yarn, probably on it you will find the recommended hook size for that particular yarn. You will need a needle, stitch marker, and a tape measure for this tutorial. Now let's begin working on this tutorial. We are going to start with the band, and I'm going to be using a 4mm hook for the band. To start working on the band, you are going to chain. You can chain any number if you want a thicker band. If you want a smaller band, you can chain between 6 to 8. So I'm going to chain 8 so that when I make my single crochet, I'll be left with 7 single crochets. I have 8 here. For row 1, you will put a single crochet in every stitch. Go in the second chain and make a single crochet. At the end of row 1, you will have 7 single crochets. This is 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Chain 1, turn your work. For row 2, going onward, we shall be working a single crochet only in the back loop. So you are going to go in the first stitch because the chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, and then put a single crochet in the back loop. Continue to make single crochets in the back loop. Ensure that you have the exact number of stitches. I have 7 stitches, so I should maintain 7 stitches. I'm left with 1 stitch like that. This is how row 2 looks like. Row 3 is going to be a repeat of row 2. The chain 1 at the beginning doesn't count as a stitch, so you put a single crochet only in the back loop. Like that. So this is how the band of your top down sweater is going to be looking like. You will crochet this until it can wrap around your head, okay? Or you get a tape measure, wrap it on your head, get your head circumference, and then crochet up to those inches. Or just keep crocheting and then wrap it on your head as long as it can slip through your head onto your shoulders. I'm now going to continue making my band and meet you right back here when I have obtained my desired length for this top down sweater. I have completed to crochet my desired size. This wraps on my head I have 68 number of rows here. So I don't know how many you have there, but I do have 68. Now we are going to join this band together like this. Make sure you have aligned it very well so that when you're joining, it is not joining in the opposite direction. This is what you're going to do. You wrap your band like that. Chain 1. Come this other side and slip stitch. Okay, so we are now going to slip stitch the side of this band to each other. Like that. Like that. And now this could be my last stitch. If I wasn't switching yarn, I would just slip stitch like that. But since I'm switching yarn, okay, for those of you who are just using one tone of yarn, it's all right, you can continue. But since I am switching yarn, I am not going to pull through this yarn. I will get my yarn, which I am switching to. I have already combined the other shade of yarn to the champagne color. I am mixing cream and champagne. I'll get it like this and then just pull it through like that to slip stitch. Okay, and then I get my scissor and cut out the tail of the other yarn like that, and then I just chain 1. After slip stitching, you are going to chain 1. Now this is the point where we will switch our yarn. It's also at this point that we are going to start creating our yoke. I have 68 number of stitches here, and I'm going to guide you people how to be able to distribute these numbers to start working on the yoke. So assuming you have 68 numbers as me, I have 68 number of stitches. For now it's rows of this. Now you get a calculator. You will divide 68 by 2. That is going to give you 34. And then you are going to divide 68 by 5. So let's see how many divide by 5. It's 13.6. So next you are going to subtract 34 minus 13.6. That is 34 minus 13.6. That is 20 something, 20 point something, or maybe 20.5, something like that. So now this is how it's going to be. We are having numbers that we can round off to the nearest number. So let's round this off to 14. Like, let's say this is 1, this is 2. Algebra 0.0, 13.6. This is going to be 4. This is yeah, 20.4. So we will round this to 13. We will round 13.6 to 14, and then we'll just leave this at 20 because you can't round 4 to the nearest number. Now for the final part in distribution of this yoke, I'm using 36 stitches. If you have 70 number of stitches, you are going to divide 70 by 5. First, you will divide 70 by 2, then you will divide 70 by 5, and then you will subtract what you get from these numbers, okay? So now, for the final part, let's say this is going to be the front and back. So let's say front and back, that is 20 plus 20. Then since we have rounded this one to the nearest number, which is 14, then the sleeves is going to be 14 plus 14. This is 40 plus 28, and we have 68. So this is fine, okay? If you have 80 number of stitches, follow this format, get the right numbers and distribute it accordingly. Now we can get to the tutorial. I needed to clearly show you people what we're working with. I don't want to rush my tutorials. As I always say that my tutorials are beginner friendly. This is some of the things I mean. So if we are going to work on a yoke, I just don't want you people to assume numbers. I want you people to get the numbers accurately. I made a similar sweater and it has a circular yoke. If you're interested in that tutorial, you can check my description box below and follow the tutorial from there. Now that we have known how we are going to distribute our numbers, it's going to be 20, 14, 20, and 14 again. So I'll chain 1. So we are going to place single crochets in each of these stitches. So I'm going to make 14 single crochets. I'll come back here and show you where to place the stitch marker because we have already distributed our numbers. I will come and show you where to put a stitch marker, but place single crochets in each of these stitches until we meet again. I've so far made 14 single crochets, so get a stitch marker, place it at that 14 stitch or that stitch which you have already gotten for yourself there. But if you have 68 number of stitches as me, you are going to place your first stitch marker at the 14th stitch, then make another 20 single crochets. I will meet you when I'm at my 20th stitch, okay? I so far have 1 2 3 4 of 20. I'm left with 16. I'll meet you when I'm at that point. I've already made 20 stitches here. Get your stitch marker and place it at the 20th stitch. Then make another 14 single crochet, place a stitch marker at the 14th stitch, proceed to make 20 more stitches. I will meet you when I'm at the end of this row, okay? This is my 20th stitch and it's the last place where I would put a stitch marker. So place a stitch marker there. Go on top of the first stitch at the beginning of this row and slip stitch. So going to chain 1. You can actually, if you wish, you can actually now just cut out this yarn. Let's cut out this yarn and we'll start our rows from somewhere. But this is how your work is going to be looking like. The spots where you have 14 stitches will be the sleeve area, and then the ones where you made 20 stitches are going to be the front and back. Okay, something like this. So I'm going to start my tutorial in any spot where I have 14 stitches. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4. Let's see. So let's say going to bring this stitch here. So when you are done making the single crochets, you are going to turn your work. So I'll turn my work and then start in this first spot where I placed a stitch marker. I'll reattach my yarn and chain 3. Instead of turning 3, if you don't want to chain 3, you remove that stitch marker. After chaining 1, place a double crochet in that spot. I'm working with 2 strands, so I need to be careful of how I pull out my yarn. After making a double crochet in that spot, you are going to make a V-stitch in this space where we placed a stitch marker. So chain 2 and then place another double crochet in that space. This will help us to keep expanding our yoke. Every spot where there's a V-stitch is going to be an increase. So continue to make double crochets in the rest of these stitches up to the next point of your stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead, make my double crochets and meet you here when we will start working on the next increase. Catch you until then. I know I've done a lot of talking, but it's necessary, especially the part where you have to distribute the numbers. That's the most important and crucial part in this tutorial, and I wouldn't want to rush it. I always appreciate it when all of you are patient with me, even if I don't know what you people are thinking about, but I'm always hopeful that someday you people can tell me your thoughts in the comment section. Okay, either way, I wouldn't want to rush that part in this tutorial. So now I've made my double crochets up to the next point in this row. Now remove the stitch marker, place a V-stitch in that space. You place a double crochet, chain 2, place another double crochet in that exact same stitch, then proceed to make double crochets up to the next point of your stitch marker. When you reach that spot, create another V-stitch. Repeat that up to the end of your row. I'm going to meet you when I'm done crocheting this first row of double crochets. I'm at the end of my row. This is my last stitch. To end this row, you are going to go on top of the first double crochet you made at the beginning of this row and slip stitch like that. So to start row 2, you are going to chain 1, turn your work, and then place a double crochet in this first stitch like that. Proceed to make double crochets up to your next point of increase. I'll meet you when we are at the V-stitch to create our next increase for this row. I'm left with 1 stitch until our V-stitch, which is this one here. You are going to place a double crochet in that stitch. Then in this space here, create a V-stitch, chain 2, make another double crochet in that same space. Then place a double crochet on top of this first stitch, don't miss it. Repeat what we did here. When you reach this point and this point, I'll meet you when we are ending our row here. This is how you end row 2. You are going to place a V-stitch in this space here, make a double crochet, chain 2, make another double crochet like that, and then go on top of the first stitch at the beginning of this row, slip stitch. Okay, to start row 3, you are going to chain 1, turn your work. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. Place a double crochet in that stitch there, and then place a V-stitch inside this V-stitch. Then proceed to make double crochets all around while adding increases in the spot where you are supposed to place an increase. I will do the same and meet you at the end of row 3 to guide on what to do for the next steps in this tutorial. I'm at the end of row 3, so you're going to end with a slip stitch on top of the first stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. To start row 4, you are going to place a double crochet in that exact same stitch. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, okay? So make a double crochet in that stitch. All right, you go all around and then end your row with a stitch here. Ensure that as you're crocheting, you're having the exact same numbers inside these spaces. So you will notice that in row 1, let's use this as an example. In row 1, you had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and then 21. In row 2 of the double crochet, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 22, and 23. Then in the next row, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20, 22, 24, and 25, meaning inside these spaces you are increasing by 2, which is this and the other one, okay? You should not miss on these numbers. That's the only way you are going to know that you are working correctly. Ensure that as you're crocheting, you're not missing any stitch, because when you're not getting the stitch count right, the yoke is not going to look proportionate to each side. So now from row 4 until you obtain your desired chest measurement, you will extend this. The good thing about this is that you can just place this on your head and know how it's fitting on you. Extend until the depths of your underarm, or maybe when you obtain your chest measurement. These two are going to help you determine your chest measurement minus that part, because this part is where we shall work on our sleeves, okay? I will keep extending this until I obtain my desired measurement. My bust is 33 inches round, so meaning I should get half of 33 in this space, but I like a loose fit. I might actually just crochet more inches. I am making a fitting for size medium to large. Just follow these instructions and obtain that desired size for yourself. This is where I stop with my increases. I have crocheted up to the depth of my underarm, in that when I align this to all the sides, it fits very well. You need to crochet and ensure that when you hold these two sides, it can wrap well on your chest. We take a measurement of it. My bust is 33 and I've already crocheted up to the depth of my underarm. When I get my tape measure and measure this, it gives me 16 inches, and when you divide 16 by 2, you are going to get 32 inches. So for the other part, for example, when you've reached at the end of your row, you are going to pull out your yarn and cut it out, okay, like that. So we are going to start crocheting in the round. We will attach our yarn here and join it to this other side and then crochet in the round. This other part here is going to be for the sleeves. So let's get on to that part. As we start working on our sleeves, you need to note that if you want a bigger fit for your sweater, you can add a few more inches to the chain, but I'm just going to make around 6 chains in the middle here to join the sleeves to this other side. You can chain, let's say at most 8 to 10. So I will just chain 6. This is how you should do it. Attach your yarn like that. Then I'll chain, this is 4, I'll chain 6, okay, and then join to this other side like that and make a single crochet, okay. Instead of a single crochet, make a double crochet because we are working with a double crochet. So you are going to make a double crochet in here like that, okay. This is how it will be, and then we will proceed to make double crochets in the round. We are now no longer increasing, we shall just be working in the round, so there's no need to put a V stitch inside this stitch. We'll just go on to the next stitch and make a double crochet. For those of you who have just found my channel and haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button, subscribe to this channel. You will enjoy your time here. I create beginner friendly tutorials. So let's make a double crochet up to this point here. When I reach here, I'm going to come back and show you people how to join onto the other side. Meanwhile, the space which you create in between here will depend on how tight or loose you want the fitting of your sweater. I've only made 6 number of chains here. The measurement from here to the other side is 32 inches for me. My bust is 33, and I believe that these are like 1.5 inches. And when you add 1.5 inches times 2, it's going to give me like 3 inches. So that is 3 inches on the already 32 inches I have for my chest measurement here, which is just fine for me because I want a little bit loose fitting. If you don't want a loose fitting, then there's no need for you to create a chain in between here. You can just go ahead and join these two sides together and start working on your double crochet all around, okay. I'll meet you when I'm at this point for us to make another chain to join onto the other side. I'm in the V stitch space. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in here and then chain 6. 6 is the number of stitches I made here. chain those number of stitches which you have there, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Then grab the other side of your sweater and then insert your hook inside this V-stitch space. Make a double crochet like that. Proceed to make double crochets up to the end of these stitches. I will meet you when we are going to join this row. We are no longer increasing. We shall just be crocheting in the round until we obtain our desired length. Okay, I'll meet you when we'll be joining this row to this other side here. I have crocheted round. Now we are in the spot where we started this row. We started our row by attaching the yarn in this V-stitch. So let's end it with a slip stitch in this space here. Like that, okay? Just end it with a slip stitch. So this is how your sweater is looking like, okay? So you have this part here where you made a chain and it's going to act as a sleeve, which is just okay for me. If you want a bigger sleeve, then you are going to create more space here, meaning the chest is going to be larger, okay? Let's start on our second row of the lower part. You're going to chain 1, turn your work. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so make a double crochet in that same stitch where you ended. So this is now going to be where we start our row and end from, okay? Make double crochets all round. I like to hide the tail of my yarn as I go, so I'm just trying to like that. Now you are going to make double crochets all through to this point. When you reach this point here, you are going to make 6 double crochets, join, come to this point, and then when you reach here, you will again make 6 double crochets or those number of stitches in between your sweater. I will meet you when we will be joining this row to the first stitch at the beginning here. Catch you until then. I'm at the very end of my row. This is my first stitch. Now I'm going to ask you all to slip stitch on top of your first stitch like that. Slip stitch, chain 1, turn your work, then make a double crochet in that exact same stitch like that, okay? So this is how your sweater should be looking like that. So you have all this going on here, and now this is just going to be the body. I see some of you might ask why you have to start your row here and end here. If you're not okay with that, you are going to have to cut out your yarn. I can actually practically do that, just so that you people get what I'm trying to explain here. I really don't mind starting my row on the side, but because most of you might not grasp it very well, I'm just going to allow us to start all anywhere, okay? My tutorials are really very practical and I want people to know what they are doing. So now if you don't want to start your row and end on the side, you can just come and count. Like I have 6 stitches here in the middle, 1 2 3 1 2 3, and I'm just going to attach my yarn on one of these, okay? It has to be in the opposite direction. I'm just going to attach my yarn there, and then like that. Okay, I either chain 3, which will act as a stitch, or I always like to just make a double crochet like that. So now you start your row in the middle and end in the middle. This is for people who are going to get confused by starting their row on the side and ending on the side. But if you are okay, you can just go on and on without having to reattach your yarn in the center. Okay, now for the next rows, we shall now be extending the body of this sweater up to our lower waist, or that desired length which you want, but I will be extending this up to my lower waist. Until that time, I wish you all happy crocheting. I like to crochet when I am listening to an audiobook or just watching a show, and I think that's what I'm going to be doing until I reach the spot, and then I'll come and meet you all right back here. Yeah, so you can also tell me what you like to do while watching. Okay, I aspire to be more conversant this year, so I hope you people can actually talk back to me. All right, catch you. I'm already in the last row, so we are going to slip stitch on top of the first stitch at the beginning of this row. But since I am going to be working my waistband in a solid color, I will switch my yarn to champagne. But if you're not switching yarn, you can just slip stitch and then go about working on your band. But I'll be switching my yarn, so I will grab the yarn that I'm switching to and slip stitch. Okay, so that is done. For the waistband, I'm going to chain 10. This is also where we switch our hook size to a smaller size. We started this tutorial with the 4mm hook and then went to the 5mm hook. Now I'm switching back to a 4mm hook so that we can work on the band of this sweater. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, cut out this yarn because I don't need it anymore, like that. So I will chain 10. This is going to be determined by the thickness and length of your waistband. 10 is enough for me. This is already 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then plus 1, like that. The 11th chain is a returning chain, so we will work single crochets in all these remaining stitches. At the end of this row, you will have 10 single crochets. I'll meet you when I'm at the end of my chain. I'm at the end of my row, so you are going to go in this stitch, slip stitch once, and then slip stitch twice, chain 1, turn your work, skip the 2 slip stitches, insert your hook in the third stitch, make a single crochet. This is how we shall be working on the waistband. If the thickness and length of this is not enough for you, you can add a few more chains. Okay, instead of having 10, you can have 12 or 14, but it's just going to be depending on what you desire. And then end your row with a single crochet in that last stitch, like that. Chain 1, start row 3. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, and then you are going to place a single crochet in the back loop of that first stitch, like that. This is how we shall be working on our waistband. You can slip stitch twice, once or thrice, depending on how it's working for you, but I'll be slip stitching twice all round until we get to the end of our waistband. But I just want to show you people how the whole thing looks like. I know it cannot fit entirely on the screen, but this is the top part of this sweater, and then this is the bottom part. The length from here up to this end is from my neck up to my lower waistline, and when I take a measurement of it from this point up to this point, it's like 18 inches, you know, something like that. It's like 18, it's actually 18 inches. So now the remaining part is just going to be the waistband, and my waistband definitely is around 1.5 inches or 2. It's 2 inches. So in total the length of my sweater is going to be 20 inches long. But if you want it as a crop top or want it a little bit lower, you just keep extending this lower part until you obtain that desired length. Is that okay? I want to show you people how to end row 3, and then after that I'll leave you all to go all round, and then we meet when we shall be joining on the side. Ensure that as you are ending your rows, you have 10 stitches or equivalent of those number of chains you made at the beginning. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then come in this stitch, slip stitch once, and then slip stitch twice. If you feel slip stitching twice is not okay for you, you can slip stitch thrice, okay? Or you can alternate between slip stitching twice and then slip stitching thrice, assuming I just go ahead and start row 4 with the slip stitch thrice down here. Row 5 I will be slip stitching twice. This is for people who want to alternate, okay? You can explore all options, they are all fine. Now I'll leave you all to continue with the waistband. I'll meet you all when I'm done crocheting mine. Now we are going to join these two sides using a slip stitch. You can flip your work like this and just go about joining these two sides to each other. You can use a needle, it's your choice. I'll slip stitch up to the end of this row and meet you here when I'm done. When you are at the end here, you are going to chain 1, pull out your yarn, get a scissor and cut it out, and then pull out the rest of that yarn like that. You can use a needle to hide the loose end, okay? So this is how our waistband looks like, even from this other side. When you are done with that, we shall be working on the sleeves. I went ahead and worked on one sleeve side by side while I was working on the band, and I crocheted this up to my cuff. I'm going to show you how to do the exact same thing for this other side here. You are going to find the opposite direction and then attach your yarn in the middle. We are using a 4.5 millimeter hook, so the middle is this for me. Grab your yarn, pull out your loop like that, chain 1, and then make a double crochet in that space. Make double crochet all round. I'm going to make this all round in every stitch that you see, and then we will meet here when we shall be ending this row. Working on the sleeves is very easy. You just keep extending this sleeve up to your cuff, unless you want a shorter sleeve, but ensure that you extend it up to your cuff like that. I'm at the end of my row, so go ahead and slip stitch on that first stitch at the beginning of this row like that. Chain 1. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, or you can just chain 3, whichever that you choose. Okay, turn your work and then make a double crochet in the next stitch like that, meaning for each row you will end with a slip stitch, chain 1 and make a double crochet in the same stitch, or just chain 3 and go in the next stitch. You will extend these sleeves up to your cuff unless you wish to have a short sleeve, but this goes up to my cuff here, and then I made the bands for it. I'm going to keep repeating this until I obtain the exact length as here. Then I will show you people how to work on the cuff. After that, you will just repeat the same thing you did for one sleeve for the second sleeve. Is that okay? Now let's crochet off camera and we meet until that point. I have extended my sleeves up to the cuff. It's somewhere here. We can now work on the cuff. Okay, I am also now going to switch my yarn from a 4.5 millimeter hook to a 5 millimeter hook. So this is what we will do. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then reduce the circumference of this sleeve based on how small, wide you want it. Okay, I'm going to be reducing by 2 stitches, so you can keep on reducing this until you obtain just what is enough. Okay, but I figure that if I just reduce by 2 stitches, it will still do the work for me. So this is how you reduce. You will insert your hook in this stitch, pull out a loop, go in the next stitch, insert your hook in there, pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook, and then you pull through all. All right, this is how we will reduce this cuff. If yours is big, I think you can alternate between reducing twice and thrice, or if you don't want it too small, you can reduce twice and then in the next stitch just make a normal half double crochet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go all around and meet you when I'm at the end of this row. I'm at the end of my row, so you are going to end this row by slip stitching on top of the first stitch at the beginning of this row like that. Okay, so this is just enough for me, in that when we work on the cuff, as we keep going in the round, it will shrink. You can see how this one turned out, and it looks like this for nothing, but it can actually enter my arms. Okay, so chain 11, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. Now the 11th stitch is a returning stitch. You are going to make 10 single crochets. You are just going to repeat what we did here for the cuffs. It's basically just the same. Okay, so you are going to be slip stitching in the opposite side. We made a single crochet. Now when you are working on the ribbing, you will be slip stitching in the opposite side. Okay, so slip stitch in this stitch here once, and then slip stitch in the second twice. If this is too small for you, you can always slip stitch at that time, okay? Just work around with what is okay for you. And then you chain one, turn your work, skip the 2 slip stitches, and then make a single crochet in the start stitch. You will be repeating this over and over again until you complete this row. I am now going to go ahead and work on my cuff and meet you right back here, and we shall be joining the sides together. I have crocheted all round. Now we are going to join these 2 sides to each other like this, okay? You can use a needle or a slip stitch to join. I'm going to be using slip stitches to join, so I will insert my hook in here and then just grab the other side of this yarn and pull the loop like that, and then slip stitch in the back loops only, okay? You go through this stitch and then grab the back loop of the next stitch and slip stitch like that. You can wear this sweater inside out because all the sides look the same. Like that. If you want, you can just pack a hook in there just to be sure, like that. Okay, you chain one, pull out your yarn, get your scissor and cut it out. And like that. And now you can get your needle to hide out the tail of all these loose ends. I'm just going to hide this in here for now, like that. I usually hide the tail of my yarn as I crochet. It makes my work very easy. So this is how this scarf looks like, just like for this other side here, okay? And it might look small, but it's actually just okay. I can pass my arm through this and it will just, you know, go through it easily. So with this, we have literally come to the end of this tutorial. This is how your sweater looks like. I know it can't fit on all the screen, but I'm just showing you parts of it. I liked how I played around with the yarn and how it turned out. It looks so beautiful. I hope you enjoyed creating this tutorial with me. I will be hiding these loose ends slowly. Catch you again in my next tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, okay? See you. Bye.